Hi, welcome to Barb's Kitchen Center. My name's Celeste and this is my test kitchen. Today we're going to be doing quick breads, and quick breads can be anything from zucchini loaf to cornbread to German onion cake. Anything that does not have yeast in it and comes in a loaf is considered a quick bread. So today we're going to do German onion cake. A little later we'll do an ice cream bread, and after that we will do a scone, all of which are very different, all of which are quick breads. All right, we're going to start with a German onion cake. So the very first thing I want to do is preheat my oven to 350 degrees. And the next thing we need to do is chop 3 to 4 medium onions. And regardless to anyone's thoughts, these are indeed medium onions. So, and because they're going to go on top of our onion cake, I am going to slice them using my alligator so that the size is nice and consistent, and they will all cook about the same time, which is what you want for presentation. So,
I want one of those.
I can sell you one of these. So, and if you don't like chopping onions because they make you teary, this helps reduce the tears that come with onions and the mess from chopping them up. There we go. There we go. Oh, I'm also going to put my frying pan on and start melting my butter. Because when you stick the onions in the frying pan, you want them to start to sizzle right away. So this should help us accomplish that. I get all my little pieces of onion. So it's not an onion cake unless you have lots of onions. I will just get all the bits of onion skin out of my bowl because I need some place to put all of these onions. Come on. Don't break. There we go. Sometimes the little tabs, if you force them too hard, will break, and then it makes using your alligator just a little more challenging. But we also have replacement parts for them, so I think this is about the 6th catcher that this alligator has chewed up. There we go. So do you use your alligator, Phyllis?
Yes, I love them. I'm one of those people that if I'm going to do, you know, every recipe calls for chopped carrots and celery and onions. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I go out and buy a bag of carrots and a couple of things of celery and a couple of things of onions, and I cook them all up in one cup. And I use my alligator for a lot of that.
Well, in most soups and stews, that's celery, carrots, onion are the base. Mm-hmm. And I've often done that, chopped up a whole bunch of them and just put them in little baggies and frozen them. So when I go to make a soup or stew, I can just pop them in and look like I'm super organized. Press all my friends. There we go. One more onion.
Well, if you're getting the alligator out, you might as well.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, not that it's super hard to clean, but yeah, it's still one more thing to clean.
I would rather get in the kitchen and do more than you have to do a couple of those each time.
Yes. Yes. The only thing is getting everything right in the middle of your alligator sometimes. It slides away on you. There we go. Yes. So, and to clean the grit on your alligator, all you have to do is lift up the little screen. I'll try to do it gently and all the way around, so you don't get stuff stuck in it, making it really difficult to clean. I mean, it's not super hard to clean. If you forget that, you just run a knife through it. But having that is just makes it super easy. All right, I'll pop this back here for somebody else to clean later. It's so nice to have people. I wish they would follow me home. They don't. All right, so in with my onion on the stove, I need, I believe it is, it's a half cup of butter. It's a very buttery recipe. So I'm using unsalted butter, which in recipes, if you use unsalted butter, add the salt. If you don't have unsalted butter and you're using salted butter, don't add the salt in the recipe, because there is more than enough salt in salted butter, because that's how they get all the water out of it. And that is why, and the milk fats, that's why unsalted butter is more expensive, because it's harder to turn it into butter. There's more labor involved. I know, who knew?
What if you were using honey?
If you salted it, then don't use the butter, or don't use the salt. And if you didn't salt it, then add the asked for salt. All right. Get my butter super melty. Whoo, hot pan. All right. So, and we'll just fry the onions for about 10 minutes until they're nice and soft and translucent. And while we're waiting for that, we can move on to the cake part of onion cake. So I'm going to use my mixer and my wire whips. So we need the flour, and it is, 4 cups of flour. And I did measure this in with proper measuring cups. And the recipe calls for all-purpose flour and a half a cup of cornstarch. And the purpose of the cornstarch would be to help reduce the protein in the all-purpose flour. So instead of the cornstarch and the all-purpose flour, I'm using cake flour, which is a lower protein flour and should net the same results. I have added a 1/4 cup more cake flour just simply to make up the moisture balance, but it should be fine.
And then remove the cornstarch?
Yes. Yes. And I did make that note on the bottom if you... okay, so combined flour, cornstarch if you're using all-purpose flour, baking powder, my white sugar, my brown sugar, and then a 1/4 cup of butter. And it should be cold butter because they're asking for it to be cut in. So that generally means it should be hard. But if you're using your wire whips, you don't want it to bend your whip. So you want to cut it into small pieces. So I will find a cutting board. There we go. And my knife. Come on, here we go. And this way, when you put it in, you're not going to bend your wire whips. You could also use the cake paddles or the cookie paddles, but I find this will break up the butter and mix everything just a little finer. So, all right. Oh, one more. There we go. It's kind of turned into a mealy consistency.
Is that not half a cup?
It was half a cup.
And that's okay? Like, yeah. It's okay to have more butter?
It all goes in eventually. And
okay,
just, because I'm not using the cornstarch and a little bit more flour, I use the extra half cup of butter instead of the 1/4 cup. In a separate bowl, melt the remaining butter. So we have used half a cup to do the onions. We've put a half a cup in here, so I will melt the other cup of butter.
God.
It is truly, actually, just to cut it down a little bit, I'll use 3/4 of a cup of butter. And I will quickly melt it in the microwave. All right, now we've mixed up our dry ingredients. We'll move on to combining the wet ingredients. I had my butter that I melted in the microwave, and I did it for about 30 seconds at a time because I don't want the butter to be hot, because I don't want to wind up cooking the eggs that are in this recipe. So next we add our 5 eggs. So 1, 2, if you like to count, 3 eggs.
Count green onion cake.
Sorry?
Count green onion cake.
Yes, there we go.
To count chocolate.
We were fortunate tonight to have a small class, so we are filming our video in the middle of our regular cooking class. So the voices you hear in the background are students who are in our class. So I'll whisk the eggs up so that the yolks and the whites are combined. It doesn't have to be perfect. So there goes our eggs. I will add the milk. And my sour cream that I left over here. You can, the last time I made this cake, I didn't have sour cream in the house, so I used plain yogurt, which is a fabulous substitute for sour cream.
And it didn't change the taste?
Did not change the taste. And it's actually really good. Like if you don't have sour cream, you put it on your potatoes, baked potato, it's lovely.
I did not know that.
I don't know if it's any healthier than, I mean, we like to believe that yogurt is healthier, but
I think in this cake it's not really going to be the sour cream that's the issue.
no, probably not, no. So we have the milk, the sour cream, the eggs, and now we just need to add the butter. And the reason I'm adding the butter last is because I don't want to cook the eggs. So, and I will add it very slowly because the butter is still, it's warm, but it's not hot. I mean, I guess theoretically you could temper it in. I'm sorry, I made this. If it appears a little smoky, I made this cake the other day in the kitchen, and I made it in a springform pan, which doesn't hold 2 cups of butter very well, and it tends to leak out. So you can make this in a springform pan. I do recommend that you have an oven liner or a baking sheet underneath your springform pan so that you don't have to clean your oven. All right, because this is just about ready and my onions are looking lovely, I'm going to grease the skillet I'm going to bake it in. And because it's a cake, I'm going to use a pan spray that has a little bit of flour in it. This cake's oily enough, it's really not going to make a huge difference.
I like that skillet.
Sorry?
I like that skillet.
Yes, the skillet is lovely.
Yeah, very nice.
So when I did this in a 10-inch springform, it became a very high cake, and it was really good. But it was, if you like the onions, it's nice to have it a little shallower. So this is a 13-inch skillet. Okay, that's ready to go. I will add my wet ingredients to my dry ingredients and form the batter. And you don't have to mix it abundantly, you just want to make sure everything's moist, because as soon as you add that liquid, you start activating your leavening agents, your baking soda. Was it baking soda or baking powder?
Powder.
Yes, powder, sorry. It's my weak spot, remembering which one is which, and I always have to check it 10 times before I... So it's like a pancake batter, maybe a little thicker. Into the skillet this goes. Ooh, got a wee piece of onion in there that shouldn't be in there. Really? Pistachio wander in from the next cake.
What would you serve this with?
This would be a substitute for bread with a meal.
Okay, so like soup and a salad, that type of thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it'd be lovely. That would be a lovely accompaniment. There we go. And like batter, it likes to stick to everything. There we go. There you go. My mother used to be so good at this. Clearly there is a trick. Clearly they did not share that trick with me. I remember as a child sitting on the counter being so upset with my mom, there's nothing in the bowl for me to lick. Which was the only highlight of baking day at our house. Was getting to lick the bowl.
And the beaters.
Yes. Because usually the cake was for somebody else and you probably weren't going to get a piece.
Yeah.
All right, I will try to get this as even as I can get it in the pan. And somebody else's dishes, yay! All right, now it's time for the onions. So our onions are nice and translucent and smoky. There we go. Shut off this before I forget and set my hand on the burner. All right, and this just goes right on top of your cake batter. And again, spread it evenly over the top. Shit, I forgot to add the poppy seeds and the turmeric. All right, we can make this work. I knew there was something I was forgetting. And the turmeric's just color. You could use hot turmeric, you could use Hungarian turmeric, you could use smoked paprika, not turmeric, to add a different kind of flavor to the topping. Or you could just use sweet paprika, which is fine too. All right, not quite as pretty as one would have hoped, but my apologies. All this pressure of being on video. Teaching class and doing a video, it's like walking and chewing gum, you know. So, whole thing goes into the oven uncovered. For 35 to 40 minutes. I'm going to set it for 30 and check it because I'm using a larger, lower bowl this time. All right, our onion cake is ready. So, smells fabulous. Looks cooked all the way through. Because this is a ceramic cast iron, it's got ceramic on the inside, I'm just actually using a butter knife to cut because I don't want to scratch the ceramic. Would get some plates. I think this would be lovely with a fine beer or wine. Nice piece of cheddar.
Yes.
I won't touch that with my hands.
Put cheddar in.
There you go. I'll get forks, sorry. Forks, not knives. Channel my inner truck driver, there we go. And the verdict is